Good evening. Elevate Your Profits. Tom Ginn. Um, Tonight, I'm really excited. I'm going to bring in my partner here, Mark Gassert, in before we introduce our guest tonight. How you doing,
Absolutely.
Mark?
I'm doing tremendous, and I'm really excited that Drew is with us this evening because I'm going to throw out some serious challenges to our listening audience out there. I can't wait to hear what Drew does, his story, and in a nutshell, if you don't like saving money, then don't show up and listen to this. If you don't want to learn how to implement a process, which Drew is a member of Schooley Mitchell, his franchise. I did a little research on the organization. Pretty cool stuff, Tom. I mean, it's got everything covered under the sun. And you know what's real unique, and I know Drew will share this. The only thing I'll insert is if they can't help you, there's no fee involved. I mean, you can't lose with this opportunity. I mean, it's pretty unique.
Yeah, yeah, it's really an important thing. Like with our platform, Elevate Your Profits, we're working everything from the mindset, how to win in business, being open to new ideas, uh, being able to adjust and pivot based on the conditions. So our goal is always to bring somebody in that can help somebody maybe looking to go into business. Drew's got a great story
Sure.
about how he made a transition from corporate world to his own business through a franchise called Schooley Mitchell. So, if you're out there looking for an opportunity, hearing from people that are looking at different ways to, control their own destiny, their own future with their own business. So, Drew will be sharing that. So tonight, I'm really excited to introduce Drew Deraney, Schooley Mitchell. We had met through a networking group. So the power of networking is important. It should be one of your highest priorities, building relationships. Since that time, we know what we do. We like each other. We trust each other. And so we're now working collaboratively in many different things to support each other in our business. Same with Mark. We're all associated one way or another to help each other. So I'm going to
Hey,
bring
Tom.
in,
Tom, before you do that, tell them
yeah,
where you're from, where I'm from, and where Drew's from. This is the unique thing about live streaming.
Yeah, I'm in Wisconsin. I'm in between Madison and Milwaukee. I've been here 24 years in Wisconsin, originally from California. And Mark, I'll let you tell you where you're from because no one
Everybody
knows better
knows
than you.
Peachtree Corners, Georgia. It's about 25 miles north of downtown Hotlanta. It's the peachiest place on the planet. I'm in Georgia. And Drew, go ahead. Tell us where Drew's from.
Well, I'll let
And
Drew
here he
tell that
is.
story.
There he is.
Hey, what an
Welcome
entrance!
aboard.
I just like
Welcome.
appeared in thin air.
I'm
Jeez.
telling you,
Uh,
man.
I'm from northern New Jersey. The name of the town I live in is Hohokus.
All right.
Got that? It's the only town in the country that has two hyphens. So that's a little trivia for you. But I'm in northern New Jersey, and happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah,
That's
we got
beautiful.
Peachtree Corners, only one of those, I think, right?
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. There's a lot of Peachtree though in Georgia, but there is only one Peachtree Corners.
And there's only one city in the United States has 5 O's in it, Oconomowoc. So,
Yeah.
but if anybody ever wants to get a hold of me, just remember 53066. The check will get here if you just put that on there. So, but welcome to Elevate Your Profits. We'd like to do is just you share with the audience, first of all, a little bit about your background, your previous experiences prior to Schooley Mitchell, a little bit about yourself and what you're doing now, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Well, I always like to start with the present. I have three awesome children, and I love being a father. Matthew's 19, Nicholas is 17, and Emma's 15, and they are what keep me going. And but I have a couple psychology degrees. I went to Fairfield University in Fairfield, Connecticut. I got my bachelor's in psychology and my master's in applied psychology from there. When I graduated, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So the school had a 2-year program where I was the psychology laboratory supervisor for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And they paid for my master's degree in applied psychology while I tried to determine what I wanted to do with my life. So some of the opportunities I had there were really, I was involved in some psychology research, got a couple of publications, one with one of the cognitive psychology professors on short-term memory loss and the application of a specific drug. So that was really interesting. We had some study research animals there, and I was responsible for taking care of that lab. I had the procurement piece, which is down the road. You'll understand where I learned some of that. And I also was student teaching, and I had a publication with social psychology professor. It was a poster presentation. So I really enjoyed the human behavior aspect, and I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I loved healthcare. So I was having a nice lunch with one of the social psychology professors, and he asked me what I wanted to do. I said I wasn't sure. I told him what I liked, human behavior, numbers, and healthcare. He said, "How about healthcare administration?" I said I didn't know that existed. I thought hospitals were the four walls with doctors and nurses and patients. Lo and behold, it's a whole business out there, whole industry. So I started my career in healthcare administration. I did that for 23 of my 30 years of business before I broke into what I'm doing now. In the hospital sector, I did anything from procurement for the capital equipment at a hospital to patient experience and patient relations. I was a data analyst in strategic planning and business development. And I also was a materials manager in the operating room. I went back and forth wearing a suit. Then it was scrubs, and back to a suit at a different hospital and back into scrubs. So I've been doing a lot of different things. And in between all that, I also was in the for-profit sector. I worked for a pharmaceutical company for a year, and I was also with a startup broadband wireless telecommunications company. So I was able to do the for-profit, not-for-profit, healthcare, and non-healthcare. And then came the big 50th birthday, and I said, it's career transition time. And I left healthcare in October of 18 and registered my LLC, Profit Compassion. And I was going to start my own healthcare consulting company. And I got a cold call from a company called Career Transitions. Said, you ever thought about buying a franchise? And I told them I don't want a Burger King or a McDonald's. And she laughed and said, Drew, it's not just flipping burgers. There's a plethora of service-based franchises in North America. Let me introduce you. And it's a world that I'm so glad I'm glad I listened. And that's where I am now. I bought a Schooley Mitchell franchise in 2019, and I'm not turning back.
Wonderful. Drew, I think what was the defining moment for you? Say, I want to leave and control my own thing. What was it about making that choice that you wanted to move on and do your own thing? What was anything you were forced to make that decision, or you just said, I just want to do my own thing?
Yeah, I'd say there are a lot of variables involved, just like in anything else. Truth be told, I needed to be true to myself, and for so many years, I have my integrity, my honesty, and it's the way I am. If no matter what, if you do things for the right reason, good things are going to happen. And the healthcare field is an interesting industry where when I first began back in 1993, I could be myself. Right. There was so much synergy in the healthcare sector and the hospitals and the type of person I was, where the individuals running the hospital were the doctors, the nurses, administration, and the patients and family. With the patient and family in the center of the care and the center of the decision making. I fit there so well. As the years went by, and I know it happened gradually, but it seemed like it happened all at once. The analogy I use is when I first started, the patients and the families had the big MRI magnet by the bedside, right? It would draw things to them. And the caregivers, the doctors, the nurses, and support services, they had the other magnet, right? And they were drawn to the patient's bedside. As the years went by, there was a shift. And all of a sudden, the decision makers became the government, the pharmaceutical companies, and the insurance companies. And it was almost like those three evil entities, they pulled that magnet away from the patients and families, away from the bedside, thus drawing the caregivers away from the bedside towards those three entities, creating all this additional non-clinical work that was taking the focus away from the patients and the families. And the more that happened, the worse communication got. And there was a landmark research study in the 90s that showed that 90% of medical errors happen due to poor communication. Poor communication is what was causing 90% of medical errors. Think about that, right? When you have more people involved in decision making, complacency sets in, egos come about, and the focus is on the wrong thing. So towards the end of my career, last 12, 15 years, I went into patient experience and patient relations. And really, the crux of the focus of those two new fields was to really teach effective communication to the doctors, the nurses, the support team, and the patients and families. Because the goal was to have the patients and families understand the plan of care. And I'm telling you, it was lost on me. And what I ended up realizing is the closer I got to the top in all those hospitals, the more I got in trouble for doing the right thing. And I won't get into the details. The last hospital I was at, I had to, give some information that was uncomfortable. It was the right thing to do in protection of patients and families. And I realized, you know what? I shouldn't have to think twice. And so I decided to leave. And I left the healthcare field. I left the, the six-figure salary. And I wanted to really try to make a bigger impact on people. And so I left my comfort zone, and I was scared. I mean, you're talking about, I had 3 kids and a mortgage, but I left because I wanted to do something that I had a bigger impact on more people. And so I was going to start a consulting company. So it was a culmination of a lot of things, but when you start to learn that you have to, when you're in the corporate world, you have to take your personality and kind of mold it to the personality of the entity that pays, writes your checks. Sure. It's an uncomfortable feeling. So I'd rather report to somebody, myself, where the integrity, the honesty is first and foremost, and doing the right thing is paramount. So.
Well, good. So you were approached by a franchise finding company. Says, "Are you interested?" And you said, "I don't want to do hamburgers." That type of. That's why I wanted to bring that back up.
Didn't want to be the founder, right?
Yeah.
Right. Not that. No.
That's one of the reasons I want to bring that up is that a lot of people want to make transitions, and there's many different ways to go into business. Number one is capitalize your vision with your hard-earned savings and investments and put it all on the line and hope it works, right? I mean, that's strategy one. I'm going to take what I love to do. I'm going to take my life savings. I'm going to make a big investment in a business, whether it be landscaping, whether it be consulting, whether it be coaching or whatever. Right. So, but franchises are a very good option. What was it about, just not about Schooley Mitchell, you can share whatever you like, but what about the model of franchises? What was it about that drew you there versus some other options that people could do?
No, that's a very good question, Tom, because initially I was going to do start my own healthcare consulting company. When I realized the amount of dollars it would take with the overhead and starting from scratch, I had actually changed my mind about ownership. And I was talking to colleagues who started their own consulting company or worked in some really good ones. And I put myself out there. I said, listen, I'd like to start and learn through you guys and maybe branch out then. So I was interviewing and talking with a lot of colleagues from my healthcare career. And I was very close to joining a team of 2. It's a husband and a wife. The husband had left the healthcare sector. He was a president of a big hospital in Connecticut. And his wife was a fantastic nurse manager, and I had known her at one of the hospitals I worked. She was an ER nurse, and they left and started their own consulting company. And I was going to be the third person. So if they had 3 events at 3 different times, and he was speaking at one and she was speaking at other, I would get the other one. I would just learn the content and go out there. And when I realized I was really getting into that, when I got that call about the franchise, and I realized the model of a franchise, it's all about picking the right franchise, the right fit between the individual and the franchise, because what ended up happening with the process, I really had to develop a 20-point must-have list of what I needed to have as the company I was going to buy, the money I was going to invest. What did it have to look like? And for me, I didn't want bricks and mortars. I wanted to work from home. I wanted flexibility to be close to my kids. I wanted to be able to invest a certain portion of my savings into something, not everything. And I really needed I didn't want a territory. I didn't want the limitations, and I wanted flexibility, and I wanted to report to myself. So when I thought about that, I said, you know what? Maybe healthcare consulting is not in the cards for me now. Maybe it is down the road. I bit the bullet and I said, let me learn more. And the company, the woman I spoke with, she hooked me up with one of their affiliates out in Cincinnati, Ohio. His name was Brian, and he owned a franchise advising company, and he had worked closely with Schooley Mitchell and a variety of others. And so when I collectively spoke with Brian, it was about 9 hours worth of discussion over a 6-month span, really gearing towards the must-have list. And once we went through that and I submitted my 20-point must-have list, Brian went to work. He combed the entire North America I wanted a service-based franchise. And he came back with 14 different franchises that had all or part or most of my 20 must-haves throughout North America. And I'm talking all different industries, all different roles, all different responsibilities, all different criteria. And he challenged me with, take this list of 14 and narrow it down to 5. And I did my research on the internet and talked to people and phone calls, and I narrowed it down to 5, Schooley Mitchell being one of the 5. I submitted my list of 5 to Brian, and he went ahead and set up phone calls for about 3 months worth every week. I was talking to C-suite individuals from these 5 entities. And in essence, they were interviewing me. Am I right for their brand? And I'm interviewing them. Are they right for my life? And it turned out, some of the industries just didn't seem a fit for me. Some of the roles and responsibilities. When it came to Schooley Mitchell, I was fortunate enough to have Dennis Schooley, the founder, be my C-suite person that we were having the weekly calls with. And I'm telling you, everything that Dennis said to me beforehand, I mean, it sounded too good to be true, similar to what some of my prospects say about our business model, too good to be true. Everything Dennis said to me, promised me, they've exceeded everything after I sent in the franchise fee. And so I know that it's not a coincidence that this worked. I did my due diligence and my research, and I could be myself. The integrity, the honesty, everything mirrors Schooley Mitchell's leadership. And I'm just thankful I picked up that cold call from the career transitions person, because I usually don't.
There's something to be said with that. Mark's calling people on for time as well. I just wanted to let everybody know, give the opportunity a chance to see if there's something there for you.
Right.
Just don't jump to a no. It could change your life, especially if you're looking. So it's amazing how that all came together. But you were clear. Your values. And I think that's really important in any business you do, whether you match your values to the services you render, and because you're out there to serve. And if you're out of integrity with yourself, you're out of integrity with people, your business is going to fail at some point just because of that.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So go ahead, Mark. I know you got some questions there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just got to get into the nitty gritty of this, Drew, because I'm just really fascinated, in looking at your bio and what you do. Like, you're into like telecom, merchant services, small package shipping. you know, electronic lodging devices, utilities. I mean, it goes on and on. And what I am fascinated with is you even state here, if we cannot help you save money or better yourself, there's no fee involved. So you really have to go out every day and you are literally proving yourself to John Q. Public out there, excuse me, or Jane Q. Public, to be politically correct. But I'm just saying that that takes a lot of time and effort. And could you share with us, you know, like maybe some challenges you go through in and day out? Because we all do, regardless of the business or if you work for someone else. You know, we all have these things that, you know. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, I mean, you really have to have a thick skin, which I am as a person, a very sensitive individual, and I've learned over time that you know, if a no is not a no about me, a no is maybe no, not right now, about what I'm bringing to the table. And a lot of times, you know, you have to have that mindset shift where if somebody's got an issue with what you're bringing to the table, it's their issue, not yours. And I've also learned the hard way that you really want to work with people who want to work with you. Very often the individual ego gets involved, right? And if
Yes.
someone says no, hey, that's a challenge, you know, and then I'll work so hard to try to change that no to a yes. And it's like hitting my head against the wall and I'm wondering why they're not saying yes. Well, maybe they're not the individuals with whom I need to spend time with. So you learn over time to kind of determine who you want to work with. And in the beginning, it's very hard to be able to differentiate who you want to work with and who you don't, because when you're starting a business, right? How do you put food on the table? You've got to make money. How do you make money? You need clients. How do you get clients? Well, you need to build a relationship, and they have, just like Tom said before, like, no, and no, like, and trust, right? And how do you do that with people you don't know? So
Right.
one of the great messages that Dennis Schooley and the leadership at Schooley Mitchell, I said, you know, work with people you know first. So they had us draw up a list of community vendors who we've worked with our entire lives. So who did I go to first? I stayed within my comfort zone. I went to my own dentist of 40 years. And my dentist, a wonderful establishment, I am going to say their name. It's Dr. Glickman and Christensen in Waldeck, New Jersey. That was one of my first clients. And who was one of my next ones was Pediatric Dental Associates in Ridgewood, my children's dentist. I went to my chiropractor. He's a client. My insurance agent. He's a client. So you start with the people you know, like, and trust, who know, like, and trust you. And that's how it starts. And then from there, 90% of our clients come from referrals. Networking, like Tom said, is so important. So trying to balance patience and running a business is very challenging. And I know you guys will
Right.
agree. I agree now that energy is so important, because if I go in to talk to somebody and I have on my mind, oh, this is going to be my 21st client, they can read that. They'll know you're not being sincere. But if you go in and say, this is somebody I want to get to know as a person because we may be able to help each other, anything can happen. And I'll tell you, I've learned to be myself when I use the soft sell approach, because the hard sell approach is not me. It's not me. You know, if I have something worth providing, like a service, as long as people trust me and know me, they know I'm not going to put my reputation on the line on something that's not a good deal. So I know that's a long answer to a short question, but there are a lot of barriers you have to overcome. And it gets overwhelming. And I'm telling you, there are times I get knocked down and I did not want to get up. But if I want to be a good role model to my kids, I get back up, you know?
That's great. That no, and you mentioned that trust, help, care mindset. It sounds like, and I'm from that similar school, and you have to just approach it that way. And you mentioned a big thing. Don't internalize it or take it personal. You know, no may not may mean not right now, but later on too. You never know. So
Right. Absolutely.
catching people at the right time under the right circumstances opens up conversation. So, hey, you mentioned something that too. I think it's really important. You starting out in business, and I bring this up because I bring people into business. Most people are afraid to once they make a decision to go approach their friends or their business. I learned this a long time ago from a mentor of mine. When you go into business and you've been doing business with all these people all these years, you've earned the right to have them at least take a look at what you're doing.
That's true. That is true. And
Yeah,
I applied a lot of that. Yeah, I mean, I applied a lot of that, Tom, and I also applied some things I shouldn't have done. I went to people who I may not have spoken to in 7 years and reached out to them. And I mean, I should have, in retrospect, just said, "Hey, I was thinking about you. I was checking online, and I saw this, and hey," and start a conversation. I mean, the one thing you're going to learn when you go into business for the first time for yourself, like I did, you want to maintain the integrity that you've had over the years. So you don't want to just jump in and find somebody you haven't spoken to in 15 years, and the first thing you talk about is a new venture you're involved in. I mean, I made that mistake, those are hard
Right.
to get back. It's kind of like trust is I'm not going to say an easy thing to get, but it's easier to get trust than it is to regain trust. And so I've learned that I need to be patient. I don't care if my cash flow is slow. I'm going to do the right thing and get it. So yeah, so it was definitely hard, guys. And I can't say I regret I should have done this, because how the heck can we learn? You got to fail in order to learn. And I'll tell you, I've learned how to embrace failure, and really try to find a way to embrace it and find the silver lining in every failure. Just don't
Right.
repeat the same mistakes.
And I know Mark's got a question too, but this just came to me is that, like with Schooley Mitchell, they have support to help you and guide you through those processes. No matter what business you circle you with people that have done that or doing that and can be a mentor to you. A franchise gives I believe in probably in most cases, that structure of something that's already proven if you work the system, but they also have people that you can lean into, get those questions answered on a personal basis.
There are approximately 100 full-time people up at head office at Schooley Mitchell up in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, who are like family to me. I mean, no kidding. We have about 350 consultant offices across North America, and any franchisee or consultant has to do is just ask head office, and they're there. I mean, the content marketing is phenomenal. I've talked to a lot of franchise owners who said that I'm in a great place to have all the content from Schooley Mitchell. That they said, other franchisees are telling me that's the hard part. The easy part is disseminating that information. And here I am struggling on how do I send it all out? There's so much information. I have other colleagues who own franchises who would kill to have all that information that Schooley Mitchell just gives to us. And it's a great business model, because Schooley Mitchell knows that in order for the head office to really succeed, the franchisees have to succeed. And so, I mean, I'm telling you, anywhere from sales training to advertising to the marketing to the support, it's just absolutely phenomenal. And I can't speak more highly of what I am involved in. I mean, the people are great. And you know what? They do the heavy lifting for me. I'm the relationship guy. I'm the guy who has my clients sign off on the terms of service. I'm the one who builds the relationship. They have expert expense analysts who came from the industries with whom they're now negotiating, who know this stuff inside and out. And you talk about security, and trust and knowledge, the knowledge they have, it's just phenomenal. They make me look good. So
what a great business model, relationship. What a better business to have. Just going out and meet people, get to know people, build that relationship.
Mhm.
Oh, by the way, maybe I can help you. Let's see it. And I'll send all the heavy lifting up to Schooley Mitchell. Is that pretty much what happens?
It really is. I'm not going to take a lot of credit. I mean, what I've learned over time is I want people to realize if I provide this service, what's it going to do for them? And I remember talking with my chiropractor, and I'll give them the Total Health Associates in Walden, New Jersey, Dr. Steve Jones. I remember talking to him, and you know what? I didn't go in thinking, oh, he's a friend of mine, he's my chiropractor, he's going to give. He asked me some challenging, tough questions, and I really said to him, "Listen, what are you looking for that you know your practice needs, but you don't have the money in your budget for?" And he said, "Well, actually, I got to replace 3 exam tables." I'm like, "How much does that cost?" He said, "He's about $1,500 per exam table." I said, "Okay, so I'm going to challenge myself. We're going to see what we can do for you, and if we can come back and save you some money towards those 3 tables, is that worth it?" He said, "Hell yeah." So, he was a 1 chiropractor practice, so we were able to save him enough money that he could probably buy a half a table. But so what? It's money for a half a table that he wouldn't have had anywhere else. And I guess my point is that when we do save you the money, it's your hard-earned money. And when you get an invoice from your vendor before you work with us, and then an invoice after you work with us, and you see the difference in what you're spending, meaning that money is sitting in your budget, not in your vendor's pockets, and you're going to share it with us because we found you that savings, that's real. It's real, and they can just reinvest that savings into their company, or into their most important asset, which is their people. So it's real help that I'm providing, that Schooley Mitchell allows me to provide.
Do you have I know Mark, do you have a specific niche or specific industry you feel most comfortable with, and what size of company? What does that ideal client look like for you, so you can give them your best that you have? What would that look like?
Absolutely. Well, the disclaimer would be I don't turn anybody away, because if I have a one person company, 28%, which we save on average close to 30% for our clients. 30% for a 1 employee company is very as important as a 30% for a large company. So I just that's my disclaimer. To answer your question, I would probably say, my niche right now, I'm laser focused on helping law firms retain their hard-earned money, and staying within my healthcare space, dental practices. I have clients in each of those 2 spaces. I've been able to save them well over 35 to 40% on their merchant services, their telecom, their small package shipping. And those are 2 industries where we have 8 cost categories. They could conceivably sign on for 7, 8 of the 8 comfortably, and have us able to save them approximately 30% in each of those cost categories. So that adds up in time. So that would be the niche, I would tell you. And as far as size, I could say 4 employees or more, but to make it a little more understanding, we call these qualifiers. So a minimum spend in these categories. So if a law firm, a dental practice, or any business spends $750 or more per month on their telecom, and that would be anything they pay to communicate: internet, landline, wireless, voice over IP, web conferencing. $750 a month is not a lot. Most businesses are spending that. Our qualifier for credit card processing is if a company generates $20,000 or more per month with their credit cards and debit cards, revenue coming in, that's a viable return on investment for both, for substantial savings. Shipping is approximately $750 a month in shipping as well. So FedEx, UPS, and we also handle waste management. The dumpster in the back of your building. If you have paper to shred, recyclables, and if you're a medical facility, medical waste, that's approximately $200 a month. And we have the other categories too, but I don't want to belabor the point.
I do have to interject something, since you're from New Jersey. Tony Soprano was in waste management.
Oh, no.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah. But I got to ask you though about shipping. So when you get involved with this, Drew, do you actually deal with the owner, the ops people? Like take small package shipping. How do you help a company with that? What are the parameters? What do you look for? Like they say, hey,
Well, I
I'm
would say,
spending this much on shipping. How can you help me?
well, I mean, to start, I always need to be talking to the decision maker in the company, because they have skin in the game, and they understand, the
Right.
process of how it works.
Right.
So first and foremost, I want to talk to the decision maker, and that would vary in any industry, and even depending on the cost category. So let's say in shipping, let's say I'm talking to the decision maker. The decision maker is not always the person I'm going to be talking to with the detail. They will be able to say, I want to do this. I want to partner with Schooley Mitchell. Drew, I'm going to have you talk to so-and-so in accounting who has the invoices, and we'll basically talk to the individuals who know in detail the process, the shipping process. How many packages do you ship per day? What are the
Okay.
sizes? The distance, everything. I mean, we really look at everything. We even look at what was the promise? Was a promise to get there by a certain time? Did the company fail in getting it there on time? Because we will track down and get reimbursed. We're getting companies reimbursed for late deliveries. It's very difficult for a company to do that internally, right? Because sometimes these shipping
Right.
lists are about 50 line items long. So, I mean, we'll look for a variety of stuff. We will look for how the company actually does their shipping. Do they do so many overnight shippings, and why is that? Is it that they aren't preparing things ahead of
There you
time?
go.
Is it that, so you really need to find out, and Tom always talks about the behavior before the data. We talk to the company about their behavior. How is your current process? And if we're able to determine that the process is impeding cost savings, we will make suggestions.
Okay.
But ideally, we're going to take their invoices, their 3 invoices, and we are going to do a re-rate with their incumbent. And we are going to also say, hey, you have this small print here. You're going to get rid of that because you're not rolling over their agreement and doubling their price in a month.
Mm.
We're going to stop you from doing that. So there's a variety of variables depending on the cost category that we look at.
Since you're talking shipping, and I do call on logistics companies, one of the things I found interesting is salespeople, it's not so much providing the service or the delivery, it's getting there by a certain date. Do you running into that with companies right now because of COVID? Like if there's not enough drivers, and that's what I'm hearing from particularly your larger logistics companies, that, they can't get things there delivered on time, which affects business, between
Absolutely.
you and myself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that to be true even in the small package end of things as well, or?
It does happen. When we get a client to start, we always our client relations team always has an initial call, like a document gathering or a fact gathering phone call, and we'll first ask anecdotally, are you having service issues? And people may say, we're noticing that UPS might be late, but FedEx not. So we will write down what the qualitative, what their perception is, and then we'll be able to look at the actual documents and show if stuff did come late and all that. And then we want to kind of narrow that gap in what the perception is and what reality is, and we go off of what reality is, which is usually what the documents show, and we will confront the provider with that information. Facts don't lie, data doesn't lie, and and that's what works. But we always will first and foremost want to get the impression of our client, because what's very important is we want to get the get the tolerance factor for switching versus staying with my provider. Many people are adverse to switching just because, oh my gosh, change is scary, or I love my provider. The guy who comes by and picks up the boxes is the nicest guy in the world. Well, we do want to get that idea, because if we're going to come bring 3 recommendations back, we always come back with a featured recommendation that is based on qualitative and quantitative. Okay. Because if our client is so adverse to changing, we're not going to come back with a featured recommendation that says we suggest you switch. We say, okay, well, if you're dead set on switching and you want to stay, this is what your incumbent will provide. Yet we always give 2 more choices. If you want to switch, and once these companies see what money they're leaving on the table, It's our
Right.
client's choice. We call it go or
Right.
no go. They could say, Drew, I don't like your 3 recommendations. Go away and keep working hard for me. We don't charge you. But they're going to have to choose. Okay, stay with my incumbent because I told them I love them so much. But $3,000 extra per year if I switch and the service is going to stay the same or get better, it comes down to a decision the company is going to make. What is more important to them?
That's true. That's true. That is really, and most of the people you have at Schooley Mitchell now are that you consult with at the headquarter office. Are they pretty much like experts in these fields, or they have the wherewithal to plug in? Like it seems like what you're telling me, Drew, is they're doing all this legwork for you to make you look like a superstar, you know, in front of your customer.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean they're amazing. So what we yeah, they will they know so much in their space. I'll give you for instance. I can have a client who signed on for 8 cost categories, and we can do 8 different audits simultaneously because the way Schooley Mitchell handles it, they hire and employ specific individuals for a specific cost category. So there's 4 or 5 experts in merchant services who will be working on that space at the same time the telecom people, and these people either are experts in the field, may have worked at some of these companies, but I'm telling you, there isn't a salesperson in the world who can put something past these analysts because they
That's what I
know
was
all the
getting. Yeah.
lingo, the jargon. They will know what bells and whistles are necessary, what are not. And what the beautiful thing is, client relations is going to ask the client, what do you want? What are your needs? And they'll give that information to the analyst. So the analyst knows what the client needs when the sales rep might be saying, but we can give them this, we can give them that. We know what our client needs. This is what they currently have. What can you do for them? So I have the utmost trust in them.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, the unique thing too, when they come back, when the expense analyst completes the value report, which is like a 30-page detailed report that says what our client currently services they're having and what they pay and what the 3 recommendations are, all narrowed down. When we do, I love going in person when I can't go in person because of COVID. We have a phone call, but I always have the analyst who worked on that file on the phone with me. So if our client has a technical question, I don't have to say, well, let me write notes and I'll get back to you. They can answer it, and boy, they wow me because they will tell, down to the granular detail to let our client know what they did to get that cost savings. It's phenomenal.
Wow.
It's just great. Yeah.
That's really cool.
What I'm hearing, why would any business entity say no to let's take a look?
Yeah.
That is the number one question you probably ask. Why do they say no if they can find something, uncover something? They're not even aware what waste management does. They just pick up my trash, right? I got the bin out in the back, and not knowing that there's a whole variables in trash collection, which I don't know anything about, other than what my wife has me take out to the dumpster. So
there are so many, I could speculate on so many reasons, but I'll give you a few of my theories. Trust is number one, because I don't know if you guys read The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey, the son of the Franklin Covey, Stephen Covey. Trust is the foundation of any relationship. So depending on who the individual is with whom you're speaking, they got to trust you first. So first you got to get by know, like, and trust. Then the second thing is the 2 things that are very sensitive to people, and I've been working in both industries, are somebody's health, giving you information on their private health, and giving you information on their money, right? They're going to entrust me with their money because we're going to get online access to their accounts. We don't look at their bank accounts at all. We want to see all their agreements, their contracts, their invoices. We go as far back as they're with that vendor to see if there are billing errors, and we get refunds for the billing errors from 3-4 years ago.
Wow.
They've got to trust that we keep everything confidential, which we do. So I'll say trust number 1 is why some might not. 2, and I don't want to single out any specific industry, but there are some industries where the business owners are not true business people. They are experts in their trade, and
Trade.
they own a business, and so
Correct.
they know their trade. They don't know dollars. And again, ego comes into it too. If they think they do a great job, oh no, we don't pay that much. I know my sales guy told me that I pay the lowest price possible. You know,
Gotcha.
it's a balance of trying to not, you don't want to be condescending to somebody and say you don't know what you're talking about. You want to say, hey, I want to believe that you are paying, the lowest price you can. Truth is, you may be paying the lowest price with that one company. We have the ability, knowledge, and the bandwidth to talk to every vetted vendor within this industry. So when we tell you you're paying the lowest price, you
Right.
really are. There's no risk in letting us find out if you are. So yeah, give you a ton of. But the waste management stuff, Tom, with like the dumpster in the back, there's so many things that people just pay the bill. We've had waste companies who would be charging like a 3-employee company for 2 bins in the back, with 3 pickups per week. It's like,
Wow.
wait, how much trash do you generate? Well, we only generate certain poundage per week. And I said, okay, so you're paying for 2 pickups of these gigantic bins where you really should be only one and cutting them in half and having 1 pickup every 2 weeks. We do that stuff for them. Yeah. So there's a lot involved in this stuff, and we're here to do it. And we're in the background, man. We are behind the scenes as your vendor watchdog while you're generating your revenue and focusing on your core business. We're invisible behind the scenes, putting money back in your budget. And
Cool.
that's why I told you I've got to talk to the decision maker, the people who get it, the people who want to play in the sandbox, because we can help them.
But that in itself, small business, what a great resource to have. Big corporations have those people in most cases drilling through and their due diligence and all that. But the average business out there, like you said, they're great at what they do, but the behind the scenes, no clue. Or if they
well, it's true. Yeah, and we call that information imbalance. When the vendor has all the information and our clients don't, who's going to be spending more money and who's going to be making more money, right? The more knowledge you have, knowledge is power, right? Isn't that what we say?
Sure.
So we're here to give the knowledge back to the client so we can kind of level the playing field.
Good.
So
that's a great point.
What's the biggest win you've seen for a customer in any one category or overall? What you don't need to name the company, but what sort of ROI did they get? I mean, for taking that time.
No, absolutely. Well, one of the law firm client, we were able to save them $7,000 a year on their shipping. And that wasn't even our featured recommendation. We had recommended one company over another to go with. They elected to stay with both in case there was a service glitch. They could move from one to the other. So that law firm just left a couple grand on the table per year to have 2 providers, but we were able to get additional discounts from those 2 providers. So that was a good one. But I like to go by percentages. That was about 35% of their their
$7,000 though, is that what you said they were spending in
per year?
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's pretty stout.
Probably around about $2,000 of savings per quarter. And it is. And then think about if you're working with us for 6 or 7 of your cost categories, and if we're averaging 28, or close to 30% on those.
Right.
What does that kind of add? It adds up, right? One of the dental clients able to save $14,000 a year on credit card processing. They did switch processors.
They did. Did they go with your recommendation?
They went with our recommendation. But the thing is, with credit card processing, there's so many other variables: fixed rates versus interchange plus versus integrated, non-integrated. It's just that's a crazy industry, that credit card processing. I'll tell you.
There's a lot of vendors out there, aren't there? I mean,
Oh my gosh! And you know what? It's not a friendly space to work in either.
Yes.
I would not be able to survive in that industry.
Right.
If I was directly in that. No, I like where I am outside doing that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it sounds like that's a cutthroat industry.
Well, yeah, I tell you, it is.
We got
Ernest wrote a novel. You got to look at that, man. Ernest is outdoing Robert now in the novel category, but it's good stuff.
Wow.
I don't know if you can read that.
That's good stuff, Ernest. Yeah, I'm reading Ernest's stuff now. That's good stuff, man. Absolutely. Auto groups. Yep. One of you guys mentioned logistics. We can do a lot for logistics companies because if we have electronic logging devices, right? They got trucks, right? And if the if government's monitoring the GPS track it, also we do fuel. So a lot of these logistics companies have the on-site tanks, gas tanks.
Mm-hmm.
They have fleet gas cards for the drivers. Anybody with a warehouse, we'll do fuel too. So any fuel that powers anything that they're working on in the warehouse, we can negotiate that because companies are spending on everything. Nothing's free, right? So I enjoy this. I mean, I was helping patients and families by the bedside, non-clinical, but in the plan of care and communication. But this is fulfilling to me. I mean, it's different from being in healthcare and helping with people's health. But this is good too because I was telling Tom and a couple others the other day that I want to be in the business of increasing people's pleasure and decreasing their pain. Their pain could be physical pain, it could be emotional pain, it could be any type of pain. But Tom knows what that means. Tom's reducing people's financial pain every day. And when you can reduce financial pain, that's one of the biggest causes of stressors and and relationship breakups is money, right? So Tom's not only helping people save money, he's lowering stress, he's keeping families together, right, Tom? So,
absolutely,
it's a very, very rewarding. It's a very rewarding space to be in. Yeah. So
cool.
In business, is because I do personal development coaching, and that I always like to know. Who are the influencers if molding your thinking, looking back in your career, do you do any personal development or anything like that as a business person to keep your game as sharp, getting better yourself? Do you have any mentors or?
Well, yeah, one would definitely be Tom Ginn. Tom Ginn from Wisconsin. Definitely Tom would be one. Giving you a plug.
That's not a bad one.
No, it's good. No,
and the advice for me is free, so I take advantage of it.
No one big, no names. I like to. I listen to my close, trusted advisors, friends who've been in industries. I mean, one of my best friends, Matt Bergowski, was in the meat wholesale business, but I wanted to learn what that industry was like. Matt's given me as a friend a lot of unbiased advice. He's been a business owner and stuff like that. I will teachers from specific teachers in college and high school. My kids, I have learned more from my children in their short 19, 17, and 15 years. They challenge me. They challenge me to think differently. So I have a ton of mentors who I could speak to. Famous people. Honest Abe Lincoln, because I'm an honest person. So he would be definitely one. There are some athletes who keep getting knocked down and keep getting back up injury after injury. I look up to those types of people. I learn from the average everyday person every day. So
that's a great testimony because that's a mission I have. What can I learn new today?
Right.
that's growth. You never know where it'll apply to. So, Mark, anything else that you have?
Well, he's covered the whole gamut. I mean, you've got, correct me if I'm wrong, is it over 200 franchise locations that Schooley Mitchell has? Are you located? I'm just curious. Are you located in Georgia? Do they have a franchise in Georgia, or
Yeah,
do you know?
we have over 300 or so offices.
So, okay.
And as far as in Georgia, yeah, I could look at right now while I'm on with you. I'm looking up the company directory. See, that's the great thing about Schooley Mitchell too. We franchises, the franchisees, we stick together.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
We share. And you talk about having people who share information and whatnot. My gosh, we certainly do. Let me see where we have Georgia. Yes. Okay. So we have Rich Bartolotta is in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
We have David Burke is also in Georgia. Bill Cullo is in Georgia. These are all principals, which means they own a franchise. Walt Frazier. Wow, I wonder if that's the Walt Frazier.
Is that the basketball player?
My goodness. There's a John Garrity in Metter, Georgia. Keith Mahoney's out in Atlanta.
Wow.
So your answer is yes. We got Maureen Thomas is one. Dean Vernosa. My gosh. Matthew Wagner and Ted Blefnick. That's
Okay.
Chicago, Illinois, Ted. Sorry.
Okay.
But yeah, there's Duluth, Atlanta, and Metter, Georgia. So you're covered.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me being a personal, we've talked about this in the past, Drew, being a personal financial coach. I think when you interviewed me, the biggest problem, people do their P&L and their profit and losses and all that, but when they take their money home, they don't know what to do with it.
Yep, absolutely.
So probably the same thing there. They know how to make the money, but they don't know what to do with it inside their operation to be more effective. So it's no difference. It's have somebody give you that 30,000 foot look, see where where the pain is, whatever you want to call that, and just make recommendations. Right. And
I like what you say though, Tom, that you used to give advice and not have a place for your clients to go. You've surrounded yourself with trusted advisors and wonderful products and services that now you're able to not only suggest to people what they should do, you're able to give them that point in the right direction, and that eases a lot of stuff. And that's what I like to hope that I'm able to do for people as well.
Yeah, and your model does that, and I know that your Schooley Mitchell has a broad breadth of different ways to analyze it, and I love the fact that you can go out and find somebody to fill a void that needs to be looked at when it's exposed on a table. So that's another feature you have. So you have people outside of Schooley Mitchell. You say maybe you should talk to this person about your healthcare cost or some other level of service, the type of thing that you don't.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the reason I interviewed you, Tom, is because I have a YouTube channel that Schooley Mitchell built for me. I'm interviewing my trusted resources, my referral sources.
Gotcha.
Because many of the franchisees are interviewing their clients, which we do too. I like to interview my referral sources because I want to be able to surround myself with individuals who are trusted advisors who may offer a service that Schooley Mitchell doesn't. And I don't want to be the guy to say, no, sorry, we don't do that, period. I want to say, no, we don't do that. I have somebody for you. And so the videos I have on my YouTube channel are from people I trust in all different industry spaces. So I'd love that to be a destination spot where people can learn from some of the people I trust.
Yeah. As a consultant advisor, helping businesses improve their bottom, elevate their profits. The first dollar saved is the easiest dollar made in business. So, and many times that's significant. Tens of thousands, and depending on the organ, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars that they can improve services, hire more people, buy those massage tables or service tables, whatever they need for their operation. Without digging deeper in their pocket, right? Just finding that money where it's already there. So,
Yeah,
Mark, anything
absolutely.
else?
I mean, I just drill it down to, guys, that these companies, business owners, they work so hard for that money. Why not keep it? Why
Right.
just give it away to these vendors who are charging you more than you should?
So I can see what you ask anything else, Drew. I don't think there's anything that holds Drew back. He talked about law firms and the dental practices that those are his niches right now that he seems to be, zeroing in on. But what I like is your mindset and your approach. I know if I called you about sales training, you wouldn't hang up on me. I had one or two guys say, "Thank you," click. I started laughing. I said, what are you doing? And the guy says, "I'm hanging up," and I didn't get mad. We had a good laugh. And I said, "Well, have a great day. No worries."
Yep.
But, I think what you talked about is not taking things so doggone personal. And I know Tom and I have talked about this, expounded on it, that sometimes people take themselves way too serious, and lighten up and have some fun. It's not like we're putting men on the moon here, and we're doing this, that utilizing this platform, live streaming. And I will give a shout out to Ken Walls, and thanks to him, and that's how both of us kind of got involved in this, through the Grow Live Academy. But do you use this a lot, this type of platform virtually, in dealing with your customers? Or do you see a difference now that you're using this as much as the phone? Or if you can't be there in person, do you think it's that bad an idea to go virtual? And I know Tom and I have kicked this around. Some people, they like to be face to face 24/7, but if you can't, it's not a bad way to go. I mean, how do you feel about it?
No. Well, in the beginning, I resisted it. I fell into
Right.
that victim's mentality. Woe is me. Why is this happening? I just brought this
Right.
franchise a year ago.
Right.
I pivoted in October of 2020, and I did a ton more networking because I learned from Schooley Mitchell that my close rate was 34%, which I was told is good in the industry. And I figured I would have to now obviously talk to so many more people if I want to get more clients. So I expanded my networking from networking groups. I'm in a BNI, primary connections. That's my referral one. B2B lead generation. I'm using both. It's a hybrid. I'd rather be in person, so I'm taking that opportunity when I can.
Sure.
But the virtual aspect, somebody allows me to not get around the gatekeeper. I love gatekeepers because if you get to know the frontline person, they can be a lot more helpful than anybody else. So I don't really try to get past the gatekeeper. I try to build a relationship with the gatekeeper. So that is a challenge. Some people try to get around the gatekeeper. I embrace them because they're the one. Without a good gatekeeper, the business doesn't succeed.
Right.
When I do encounter the gatekeepers who don't want to talk with me, I find my ways around. There's a lot of ways to, but in a nice way. You want to respect everybody's, positions and whatnot. But the platform I usually use is Zoom. All my interviews I do are on Zoom. But what's great is I just send the MP4 up to Schooley Mitchell, and they do the post editing, and they put it on all the social media sites for me, LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff. So
that's neat.
I'll use any platform. This is the first time I've done a live stream. I use Clubhouse with one B2B group. I'm trying everything because you never know.
Wow.
You don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, a lot of our colleagues that in Grow Live use the Clubhouse. Just another networking, building relationships, how you can support each other. I think that's where a lot of networking. Let me sell you, and then instead, let's get to know each other. See if there's any viability in relationship first. Hey, could we go have a beer and not talk about business all the time?
Yeah.
That.
Actually, I have a quote behind me. It says, let me see, brand yourself, don't sell yourself.
There you go. Yep.
Brand yourself, don't sell yourself. And that, I think that's like words to live by, So.
Yeah. Well, we've had, I just want to thank our audience tonight. We had quite a few people hanging in here, making comments. Thank you, Robert, for coming on. Yeah, thank you for supporting us. Ernest, hey, it's been a while, Ernest. We need to connect on a couple of things. But, if there's any parting thoughts, we'll put you back in the green room, and because we did negotiate some peanut butter M&Ms for you. So I know that was your favorite.
We may want to get Drew to talk to our vendor and see what he can do for us. Be more hospitable in the green room,
Sure. All right, gentlemen, thank you. This is great.
Oh, yeah, Ernest said he's been slammed. That's a good thing, Ernest. I'm glad you're slammed. Okay. Thanks for jumping on here. We're going to put you back in the green room, and then Mark and I, we've got a couple announcements we want to make and wrap it up. And then Drew, just stay on just for a couple minutes longer. So I'm going to put you back in that green room. Enjoy the M&Ms.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Drew.
Oh, by the way, any way to get a hold of Drew, here's his email.
There you go.
Deraney at schooleymitchell.com. So tag and share your friends. I know that there's somebody in this audience tonight that knows somebody that needs Drew's help. So share it out there.
Absolutely.
He'll do a great job for you, and you're in good hands with Drew. Okay, so we'll put you in the back room. Here we go. I think every business needs a Drew on their team, right? Building a team.
Absolutely.
When you have a business, you need a team of trusted advisors, people you can lean into, people that are experts in what they do. You need accountants. You need attorneys if you're doing any business. You need somebody that can look over your accountant's shoulder, make sure they're getting the best deal like Drew. So definitely encourage you to reach out to Drew. Mark, we got something coming up on Thursday. Do we want to bring that up?
Why don't you talk about the meaning of our platform, like Drew shared with how he helps people elevate their profits. So talk to me about what this platform's all about. What is it that we're trying to do and accomplish out here?
Well, the first mission is just give good value to those that might be looking to go into business. I think a franchise is a good option for a lot of people. However,
absolutely, there's
some barriers that you have. But what he did, he went with his value system and tested that against all the opportunities. And I think that was great advice.
Right.
That you don't do it because I can make a lot of money, but that means you're going home smelling like a hamburger every night. Is that what you really want?
Right.
Is it really fit your core values and your purpose and your why? And I commend him knowing his core, what he wanted to do to make the right decision, because he would apply that to some other opportunity. Sure. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up. I can go do this and I can make a lot of money, but if your heart's not in it, you're not going to make any money with it. You got to love what you're doing. Stay true to yourself. So that was great advice. So that's the whole purpose of us is, bring somebody like Drew that's gone through that shift in life, and I'm going to take control of my life, and not quite, he maybe thought he was going to go in this direction, but a phone call came across, and only through awareness can you get the right information to make the right decision. So that's part of it. And then, we brought in guests such as Benjamin Gay III, the last living person ever coached by Napoleon Hill. I mean, that still blows my mind. That
BFG3, I just acknowledged him today and said thank you, because thanks to him, and others out there, the Gittimer Nation, there's so much resource out there that if you listen to these people, they can really help you. It's helped me,
Yeah, and so that's my primary purpose: bring value to those maybe looking to be in business. What's going on? Everybody has different challenges they go. There might be an answer for you to do a pivot or whatever you want to call it, to make an adjustment to succeed long term, because it's a small business person in this country that drives everything. And so I'm all about that. But our personal agenda, right, Mark? We're here to bring these good quality people. but Mark and I associated in some business ventures, and we're not here to promote what we do in this platform. But on Thursday night, we've got a little program. Let me see if I can.
Oh, there's that word. Tom, before you get into that, I just thought about something. I know I actually touched and knew personally two millionaires, and one was my brother-in-law, but you know who the other one was? Was my father. And the things that you are going to talk about there on how to build that $1 million asset, you go through those 7 pillars. He did those things. I just made a note to myself, U.S. Army, 30 plus years, Bethlehem Steel, 30 plus years, and he did officiating. Now that's how he did it. He did it the long way. But when he was in his 80s, he was a bona fide certified millionaire. You know, but my dad came from that greatest generation. And I think that generation, I have utmost respect, has generated a lot of millionaires, maybe because of what they went through from the Depression or whatever. But I'm just saying they had a mindset, and you talk about mindset all the time. And I was just thinking about this today, you know, about how he did it. But I'll let you go on with your Thursday because you do a fantastic job at this.
Yeah, in that Thursday, it's not about what we're doing, but why you need to be looking at what you're doing to solve these 7 major problems. And I identify 7 economic things that if you're not aware of how to solve them, you'll fail financially, no matter how much money you make. And so we're going to share some of the secrets that I've learned in my life and applied in my life, and I just want to help other people win financially. Here's the sad fact in this country: 62% of the American people can't write a check for $1,000. 62%. 85% of the American people are not going to be able to retire. We live in the wealthiest country in the world. And why are people struggling financially? We live in a culture of illusions. We've got 2 cars, we've got a boat, we've got the property, but they're in debt. They can't see past the debt. And so we'll be covering the 7 things you've got to take control of and just introduce you. Until you're made aware of those, you can't change them. So we're going to just bring 7 very distinct problems that you've got to solve. And once you solve them, you'll win financially in a big way. So Thursday night, Mark, is that 6:30? I'm going off the top.
6:30. It's Central Time.
Central Time.
Yes. Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah, that link right there will give you the registration. It's 30 to 40 minutes. If you feel that what we're talking about there, you want to find out specifically what Mark and I are doing and other people are doing to see if it's a viable option to put one of these principles to work for you, then we can have that dialogue. But it's strictly about through awareness. And here's another sad fact. Only 3.5% of the American people, of 330 million people, have a net worth over $1 million.
Yep.
That is a sad number, and there isn't any reason. My goal in this next year, and I don't think I shared it with Mark, is teaching one of these principles and get 100 people to create in 2-year period an asset that has a value of generating income if you had $1 million in the bank. So anybody can become a millionaire in 2 years in concept. So join us on Thursday. Okay. Anything else, Mark?
That's it, man. That was beautifully stated. I just want to say thank you again to everybody. Tom and I love you guys. We appreciate you allowing. I have a CEO hat as well. Look who's hopped on here to say hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Joe Ingram.
Thanks for jumping on. Yeah, share it out. We've got, join us on Thursday night. See what we're doing there, Joe. So thanks for jumping on.
But no, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody, including Joe. I know he's the jokester, but Joe does a lot of great things out there as well in the sales arena. Yeah. He is a genius, as he says, and he truly is.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is thank you for being here, everybody, because you could be doing something different, and Tom and I both know that. And we respect your time. and we appreciate you.
All right. Robert says, hi, Joe. Thursday evening, write down the bit.ly, create $1 million asset. We'll show you how you can have that asset, at least $1 million asset, created in 2 years.
I'm the shy, quiet, innocent one. Okay. All right,
Yeah.
Joe. We can debate that.
Hey, Joe, we're going to get you on our program. We're going to have you.
Yeah, we need to have Joe
wisdom
on here. This would be cool.
Yeah. So, hey, message me and we'll talk. Okay. And Robert, he says, hello. We're going to sign off. We are so grateful for everybody that jumped on here. I'm grateful for Drew sharing what he's doing. And there's a path to happiness and taking control of your life through a business of your own. Many different ways to do it. He chose the franchise route, but he picked a franchise that was in alignment with his core values. That should be your number one litmus test for any business you do. So with that all said, Mark, you ready to rock and roll out?
Let's do it, sir. Let's do it.
All right. Let me get to our exit thing here.